Republicans have officially won the House. We don't know yet the exact number of seats they'll have, like how many.
Yeah, 220
advantage,
somewhere
right?
around there.
Yeah, something like that. So it could be anywhere from 1 seat to like 6, somewhere in that range. Well, they already called a press conference and already announced what their top priority is. And you're not going to be surprised to learn it is investigating one Joe Biden. Take a look.
We're releasing a report today that details what we have uncovered. We're also sending letters to the Biden administration officials and Biden family associates renewing our request for voluntary productions of documents relevant to this investigation. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, the President of the United States, and why he lied to the American people about his knowledge and participation in his family's international business schemes. National security interests require the committee conduct investigation, and we will pursue all avenues that have long been ignored. Committee Republicans have uncovered evidence of federal crimes committed by and to the benefit of members of the president's family. These include conspiracy or defrauding the United States, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, tax evasion, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit money laundering. The Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality, from human trafficking to potential violations of the Constitution. In the 118th Congress, this committee will evaluate the status of Joe Biden's relationship with his family's foreign partners and whether he is a president who is compromised or swayed by foreign dollars and influence. I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, and that's where the committee will focus in this next Congress.
So a couple things. First of all, they're stressing like this is of Joe Biden because they don't. If they were like this is about Hunter, everybody would be like that's kind of frivolous. Like what are you doing? And the other thing is human trafficking.
Yeah, I read that as them like throwing a bone to the QAnon freaks.
Yeah, look, I got a million issues with Joe Biden. Human trafficking? Are we really trying to make the argument that Joe Biden was human trafficking? Like what? What are you talking about?
Right.
What kind of nonsense is that? What kind of gateway pundit far right
just
conspiracy?
To like throw that out there without
shit?
Any other explanation.
Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now look, here's the thing. I have no doubt that Joe Biden and his family, including Hunter, probably others as well, that they've been involved in like sketchy business deals, and you're never going to convince me. And I know people on the Democratic side sometimes get goofy enough to do this, where they try to convince you like, nah, bro, him sitting on the board of Burisma and getting money for the...
He's just an expert in Ukrainian energy policy,
There's no problem with that. He's got a job, bro. It's like, why would Hunter Biden, who knows nothing about this, be sitting on the board of a Ukrainian energy firm and making he was making a lot of money doing that, right? So you're never going to convince me that there's not like corruption involved there.
Yes.
So in a sense, I actually have no issue with sort of investigating legit avenues of corruption, but the problem comes about when you realize every single one of those assholes who was just part of that press conference, they were all Trump ball coddlers, and he was arguably the worst offender when it comes to this same stuff as president.
Yeah.
I mean, when he was president, a lot of people don't remember a lot of these specifics because it gets lost in the noise, but Trump took $300,000 directly from the Saudi government. They gave it to him through his D.C. hotel. They had some event there for like veterans where, it was just some shit to just funnel money to Trump. And then, of course, Trump turned around, defended them when they killed Jamal Khashoggi, an American journalist from the Washington Post.
Right.
He vetoed a piece of legislation which got through the Senate, which was to stop our support of the Saudi genocide in Yemen. He said, no, I'm going to kill that. I'm going to take the pro-genocide position. Why? Probably one of the reasons is because the Saudis are paying his ass.
Right.
Okay? So all these people, I mean, they're not principled actors is my point.
So you don't expect a good faith investigation
No, I don't.
On behalf of the American people?
And obviously the human trafficking shit, just the fact that they threw that out there leads me to believe they're going to go with the most hyperbolic, over-the-top claims with the least amount of evidence. They're not going to go for the things that are actually good examples of corruption. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I completely co-sign everything you just said. I mean, with the Trump piece, even if you put aside all of the corruption during his presidency, like just look at the present day, How much money is he getting from Live Golf and the Saudis? How much money is his son-in-law, Kushner, has $2 billion that he got from the Saudis? So it's not like they've cleaned up their act since they've been out of office. No, I mean, this is part and parcel of what they did. People like Jim Jordan and Jamie Comer would carry water for him all day long on all of these just like actual blatant direct pay-to-play effectively schemes. I mean, with Biden, it's not excusable either, but there's like, and there's a little bit more distance than there is with the Trump stuff. But, it's all ugly. It's all grotesque. I'll never forget when Saagar and I interviewed Congressman Ted Lieu, Democrat, and we're pressing him on the Hunter stuff. And he was like, well, people sit on boards and they make money. It's like, dude, and this is the thing is like in Washington, they really do think that way of like, well, this is just how it works.
Just standard operating procedure.
Standard operating procedure. This is just run of the mill corruption. And it is grotesque. I mean, here's what I'll say. I wonder about the optics of the literal day that you win control of the House. This is your very first thing. It's not, hey, here's what we're going to do about inflation and gas prices or even their, other culture war issues that they ran on. Here's how we're going to deal with violent crime. No, it's like, here's the political hit job that we're going to try to pull off on the president. On the other hand, it's not clear to me that it doesn't have some sort of political impact, right? I mean, but the problem, all they want to do is try to muddy the water so that when people like us bring up Trump's corruption, that they can say, yeah, but look at this over here with Biden and Hunter Biden. So, do they effectively like muddy the waters and force the press to cover these issues, which, by the way, the press should be covering these issues and presidents should be held to account. But they'll do it in the most like ridiculous and absurd and most baseless way possible, and it won't be done in good faith.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main reasons why they lost this last election is because the American people viewed them as partisan hack extremists. And then the very first move verifies they're partisan hack extremists.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's nothing substantive at all, not remotely substantive. Here's my question for you. I'm curious as to how this is going to go. Would you predict that at some point this is going to devolve to bringing up like sex acts from Hunter or drug addiction from Hunter?
Yes.
The reason I asked that, here's why I asked that, because when I was a kid, I remember all of the talk around Bill Clinton and what went on with Monica Lewinsky. I mean, Ken Starr literally released like a I'm really horny report.
Right.
It was like, and then he busted a nut on her dress. Oh, this is so hot. I mean,
terrible.
Very bad. Let's impeach him. And by the way, when they tried to impeach him over that, his approval rating skyrocketed to over 60%.
Yeah.
So I do think that's the other problem is that I feel like they go to the lowest common denominator / the most salacious bullshit.
Well,
so it's going to end up with
thing.
Hunter getting his balls sucked in 2013.
Even if Jamie Comer and Jim Jordan and whoever else is leading up these committees, even if they really do try to keep it like that piece out of it, you think cable news and all the like right-wing commentariat, are they going to be able to resist the latest picture of Hunter with a prostitute or whatever? No, of course not. Of course, they're going to go all in on him like, doing drugs and whatever else is going on with him. They can't resist it. So yeah, there's no way they're going to be able to walk the line of just staying with like Joe Biden and his direct connections to any sort of corrupt business dealings of Hunter and co.
Yeah, this is this is kind of unfair, but I'll say it anyway. It's sort of like the Republican equivalent of the January 6th committee. But at least with the January 6th committee, there actually was something at the core of it that was very disturbing, which is like an attempt to overthrow the country.
Yeah.
But this is like, again, the thing I can't get over is like, as somebody who genuinely cares about corruption, no matter where it shows up on the Republican side or the Democratic side, like this is actually like my top issue, the main issue that concerns me. But it's just so clear. They don't really have a principled objection to it. And it's just theater.
Obviously. I mean, look at their list of donors. Like, come on.
I know.
Their hands are not clean either. And they did not care at all about Trump and Jared and all of the rest.
I'll do you one better. There was, remember, it was in Responsible Statecraft. They had a great story that talked about how Norm Coleman, former senator from Minnesota, I believe, Republican senator, he's now a lobbyist for Saudi Arabia, and he funneled $94 million from the Saudis into the House Republicans.
Yeah.
And then here are the House Republicans like, I don't know, Joe, you seem very corrupt. We're going to investigate you. Bitch, investigate your damn self. Like, you guys are swimming in Saudi money. What the fuck?
It is a shame, too, because, I mean, we have in the past had effective government oversight. I mean, you think about like the church committee as the, prime example, but there's just no way you would trust these people to do any sort of reasonable, factual job, and that they would have any motivation other than going after their political opponents.
So final thing on this, help or hurt in the long run for the Republicans? Does it gin up enough genuine stuff where it's like, that's kind of sketchy, or is it?
I could see it going either way. I really could, because my instinct is that it will hurt them. My instinct is that it looks very bad at a time when people are going through all kinds of stuff and inflation really is an issue and people really are stressed about the economy, for your first statement not to be, here's how we're going to deliver, but to be like, here's our partisan hit job, right? That's my instinct, that people will see this as the theater that it ultimately is. But, I'm not that confident in that, because ultimately it forces press coverage. It forces a narrative that they want. It muddies the waters enough that I think it could potentially take a toll. And again, it's complicated for me too to talk about this, because like Joe Biden should be held to account. He should be scrutinized. The media should be looking into these things. I mean, Hunter taking a bunch of money like from China and from Ukraine and whatever.
Yeah, the downplaying of all that shit.
Yeah,
is so obnoxious.
It's totally obnoxious. Like, that is completely legitimate criticism, and when you leave it to the scummiest corners of the internet to do it, then you get things like them just casually throwing in their human trafficking, and you don't get an honest accounting of the facts. So that's where my frustration is I would actually like to see that accountability, but there's just not a chance in hell that it comes from these people.
Yeah, my instinct is to say it's going to really have no effect either way. I don't think it's going to, whatever they sort of dig up, and it'll just be yawn fest.
I don't know.
I'm saying in terms of elections, I don't think it's going to help. I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt. I just think it's sort of standard operating procedure.
People will just tune it out.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. If you want to see me and Krystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Krystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.